to say that for those of you that don't know, it is my birthday today. So I just want to let you know that it is my birthday. So yay. And honestly, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. I got my massage, I had breakfast with a friend, and now working the Isagenix is like my favorite thing to do. So I'm very grateful to be able to work on my birthday, honestly. So Brent, I'm so grateful for you. I have some notes here. Where I put them is beyond me. Uh-oh, where'd I put them? Jeez. Well, anyways, Brent is a pretty amazing guy. He's a retired lieutenant. And I can't wait for you to hear his story because it's pretty cool. And I'm really grateful he's going to share it. He's millionaire number 230. I'm remembering all this, right? Is that right, Brent? Millionaire number 230. And I am his 4 PET. So one of the greatest things about Isagenix, I think, is the people that you meet. You get to meet so many amazing people. And so one of the people I got to meet and become friends with is Brent. And when I asked him to lead a call, he said, absolutely. Like he'd never even thought about it. He just said, for sure. He said, yes. So that shows you a great leader, right? He's 7 Golden Star, 7 executive something, whatever you call it. I have it written down. I don't know where it is. Why don't you say it? 7 Golden Stars, 7 executives, you know, all that good stuff, that I want to be someday. So here he is. Thank you. I'm going to have you take over. And then when you're done, we can all ask him questions and pick his brain.
Cool. Thanks, Heidi. And happy birthday.
Thank you.
I see some pretty impressive, powerful women on here. This is pretty cool. So good stuff. Thank you guys for asking me to be on here. I always appreciate the invite. So again, my name is Brent Shaw. My wife is Tracy, and we work Isagenix together as a business, as a team. I was started by Isagenix. Well, first, most important question, Heidi, since you're my 4 PET, have you hit your 20 points yet this month? Okay, then we'll move on. All right. $125, cha-ching, we're moving on. So Tracy and I started, all right, I actually started the nutrition before Tracy did. Actually, Tracy wouldn't even smell it for like 11 months. So I was told to try the nutrition by a sports mentor of mine. He's since passed away. Great person in my life, very instrumental in a lot of my physical fitness destinies and choices in my life. And I'll be forever grateful to him for everything he's done for me. My start with Isagenix was I had retired from the police department. I did 21 years with Phoenix Police Department. I retired as a lieutenant. And I'm going to go into some part of this story. I'm actually going to use part of this time, if you don't mind, Heidi, to kind of tell a story that I haven't told a lot. And I'm trying to figure out, you know, where it fall or how to tell it without like getting teary-eyed, right? So I retired from the police department and I got into triathlon was what I needed to do, because I needed to stay with something to keep me focused and on target and a schedule. But the business side of Isagenix didn't take place for many months. In fact, I never even shared it at all for like the first 11 months. So when you enroll someone and they don't start right away or they don't do anything right away, don't forget about them, right? You know, continue to be there for them and support them. And when their time is right for them, then that might be the time that you can do the most help for them. So I retired because Tracy and I had done a lot of real estate, and right during the big bubble here in the Valley metro area. And at one point we had almost 300 different houses that we were either full owner of or part owner of. And we kind of knew everything, right? Until we found out we didn't. And then when we found out we didn't, the market fell so fast and so furiously that we really just didn't know how to react to it because we'd never really been in that situation before. So I have here what I call our jar of pain. And for those of you who've never seen this before, this is a vase full of cut up credit cards. So this is completely full of cut up credit cards. Like, I mean, it's this big, right? So like it's a big vase. And they're all real. They're all real cards. And I became a master at moving credit. I would move them from one card to the next and to the next and to the next until they figured out that I didn't have any money. And then they started cutting those lines off, and we couldn't move the money. And then we got stuck with all of this debt that we had to figure out how to deal with. Well, you know, the whoever it is, it doesn't have to be one particular spouse. It can be the husband or the wife. But as the bread earner at the time in the family, or the primary earner at the time in the family, I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to protect this? Because I've worked 20 something years to help my family and support my family. And now we're in debt. I am got to explain to my 7-year-old that I can't explain it to him obviously, but we've got to live a different life. And I literally retired because I knew that they couldn't garnish me if it was a pension. So I knew these credit card companies couldn't come after me if I didn't have an employment, right? If I wasn't employed, if I just had a pension. So in order to protect my money, I retired, and I looked for a job that I could do that was a commissionable job. So I started selling armored cars for a friend of mine who was in my real estate business, and I started traveling on places on nobody's bucket list. I spent a decent amount of time in West Africa, a decent amount of time in South America, in the Middle East, all kinds of stuff like that, selling cars to various people, some of them legitimate governments. I guess you can call them legitimate governments, and some of them just guys that needed cars for some random reason, right? So I was doing that, and I got started in the Isagenix shortly after that. And the person that got me started kept saying, you should share this product. And so when I finally did decide to share it a little bit within my cycling group and my triathlon group, we got paid. I think my first check was like $212. And I put that money in my son's savings account because I thought, well, if the IRS is going to come after me, maybe they won't take his money. And I want you guys to think about this, right? When you've got people who take the safe route, right? They take the employment route. They are employees. They are a salaried employee, and they think, whether it's a guy or a girl, whatever, maybe it's one of you, that you're doing that because you think this is the safe thing to do, that this is the way to live my life, and that this is safer than doing this crazy network marketing or being a crazy self-employed person. There's dangers to it, right? And so I knew that with the amount of debt that Tracy and I had, we literally had over $100,000 just in credit card debt. And I knew that there was no way to pay that debt off with a job. It just wasn't going to happen. Like I couldn't earn enough money as a salaried employee to pay off that kind of debt. So that's why I started doing the armored car business. And when I started earning a little bit of money from Isagenix, like I said, I was putting in my son's savings account, and I didn't know network marketing. So I really had no belief in it, or I didn't hate it. I didn't not believe it. I just didn't know. And so when I started making a little bit, then started making a little bit more. And then Tracy, my wife, she's like, maybe we should do this celebration thing. And I'm thinking, you have got to be kidding me. I am a 21-year police officer, and you want me to go hug people and go to some place where they're going to jump up and down and scream and lights and whatever. And I'm like, there ain't no way. And literally, I mean, it's funny because they talk about it at the events when they have the talk about the guy or the girl with their arms crossed. Well, I didn't just have my arms crossed. I had my arms crossed. I had my, I may or may not have been carrying. And I'm like, yeah, you want to hug me? I'll hug you with my left arm, but I don't know who you are. So I keep my arrows in my left hand or my right hand, and my what is it? You keep the arrows in the right hand, and I can't think of the other thing, but the daisies or whatever in your left, right? So I'm approachable, but I'm not engaged. And most of that was because I just didn't believe that people could be that supportive of each other. I just didn't really understand that community. That wasn't my thing. And so I was suspicious of all of it. And but as the day went by and as time went by, and I kind of watched some of these people up there, and I'm thinking, man, maybe there's something to this, and maybe because I get math, right? I mean, we did real estate because I got math, I understood math, and I understood the power of leverage. And the power of leverage is, for those of you who may not have a full grasp of it, is what leverage you can use to accomplish a bigger task, right? If you've ever tried to lift something and you just grab it with your arms and lift it, versus if you kind of set up like a little teeter-totter system, you can lift a lot more leverage, right? And the longer that lever is, meaning the more people involved in that task, the more leverage you accomplish. And so when I realized the math behind Isagenix, and I realized the math behind network marketing, quite honestly, I was like, I can do this. And so the math became, how many people can we get onto our team, and how does that work? And what I found is, in the technique that I've been successful with, and one of the reasons that Trace and I've been successful with Isagenix, is the team building mindset. I am huge on team building, and I think what you have to do is, when you find someone who's interested, that's fantastic, right? You're interested. Lots of people are interested. But you've got to find somebody who, and this isn't mine, this is Eric Worre. He talks about it. He talks about it, they've got to be coachable, and they've got to be hungry. Okay. There's a lot of people that fit the first one, right? Willing, right? That's his first one, willing. There's lots of people that are willing. There's lots of people that are willing and coachable. But hunger is another level. And hunger means, are you willing to stick both hands in your pockets and dive headfirst into the unknown? And that's really what it's about. Are you willing to really do that? And when you escape from a plan B, because a plan B, if you enter this, if you're talking to somebody and they're like, yeah, well, this is my plan B. Plan B means I'm already given up on my plan A. Okay? Because plan A has to be it if you're all in, right? Plan A is the parachute, right? Nobody thinks that they're going to have to use the backup parachute, because if you're jumping out of the plane thinking I'm going to have to use the backup parachute, you're not going to jump out of the plane. Okay. So you've got to, and I try not to use words like you have to or whatever, but in this business, when you're talking to somebody who's willing, that's fantastic. Lots of people are willing. Who's coachable? Lots of people are coachable. Who's hungry? There's a lot of people that are even hungry. But to get all three of those things is a different mindset. And I see some of the faces on here, and I know some of the faces on here have gone through that series, right? They get it. But team building is how you find your people that really get it. Are they willing to not just enroll some people, but are they willing to be a leader of those team members? Okay. Your goal is to become unimportant in your organization. Okay. If I have to be there to run my organization, then I'm never going to get out. Right. I've been doing team calls, and I haven't really talked about this very much. In fact, I don't think I've ever talked about this in public, in this type of environment, but I've been doing team calls now for probably 7 years, every Tuesday. Every Tuesday. My goal is to stop doing team calls, right? I don't want to do them. It's not that I don't want to do them. I would like to be a guest, right? I want to be that person that can be the guest. But if I have to be that leader, if you have to be that leader on every team call, when can you ever leave?
It's on our business account. Can you, or on our...
I got it. When are you ever going to leave? Right? When are you ever going to be able to, and I don't mean leave like leave your team, but when are you ever going to be able to work more on development of individual leaders and all those kind of things that you can do, spend better time at, if you're the person who's got to be there, right? Because once, and I'll use Heather because I can see Heather and I can see Stephanie, right? So if I've got Heather and I've got Stephanie running their own teams, my goal is to support them, not to be the person that coaches, that's there with them every step of the way. At some point, they've got to grow past you. And I was talking to somebody the other day who is with Primerica, and I'll use the names. It's not, I don't think it matters, but in Primerica, if you don't reach a certain level before the person below you does, then they pass you, right? Meaning that, like, Stephanie happens to be on my left. If Stephanie exceeds our income, I am applauding all the way, right? I am 100% engaged in her desire to do whatever it is that she wants to do, right? There's other network marketing companies out there, you all, that are not like that. And when you find those people, when you know that exists, and I'm telling you right now, Primerica is my target, right? I go after, if somebody tells me they're Primerica, I go after them because they're open to network marketing and they don't know what they don't know. Because generally, if you ask them that question, they're like, huh? And I go, yeah. If you don't make regional president before the person that you hire, before the person you bring on does, then you lose them from your organization. So you're not incentivized to get someone who takes off, right? And so I would tell you to look at that. The other thing, because I'm looking at a lot, like I say, a lot of powerful women on here, is when you look at some of these network marketing companies, this is my opinion, right? They target women because they give them stuff, but the stuff that they give them doesn't pay bills, right? If you're awarded with candles, or you're awarded with product, or you're awarded with those things, try to pay a bill with some candles, right? Try to pay a bill with some sort of cookware, right? Though that it just doesn't happen. And so when I'm talking to someone who's open to network marketing, who's willing to listen, and my question that I ask people all the time is, share your compensation plan with me. Even if I already know it, I'll ask them to share their compensation plan with me. And then I'll nod along with, oh, that's interesting, that's interesting, it's interesting. I want to hear their compensation plan. Even if I already know it, one, I want to see if they actually know it. And then I can also then use that as information to show them maybe they want to look at this as an opportunity. Continue to support them, right? Encourage them to do fantastic with Melaleuca or whoever they're with, right? I'm going to encourage them 100%. But I'm also going to make sure that they see there's an option. Okay. So when I talk about team building, that's what you want, those people on your team that really are most interested in building their own team. Okay. This call is a fantastic example of where I hope all of you find yourself. And that is invited by one of your team leaders, Heidi, to attend a call and talk about things that have been successful for you and things that have been failures to you, right? Be that person that shows up on that call. And that way you've got the ability, because my goal is I want Heidi to be crazy successful, right? That's my goal. I want her to be crazy, crazy successful. And if it's not Heidi, then it's the next person, right? It's the next person. It's the next person. It's whoever it is in your team that you want to help make super successful. Now, some of you are executives on here, and I'm going to tell you a little tip. If you're not doing this, I'm going to tell you should be doing it. With Isagenix now, if you're an executive, you receive enrollments from corporate, and those enrollments come to you. They're free, right? They show up because you're an executive, right? So you get these enrollments, and you get, one or two or whatever of them is a month. My recommendation is when you get one of those enrollments, one, you should be doing your own, right? So for your leader in action, you need one enrollment per month for your leader in action points to count, okay? Every enrollment after that, I would tell you, okay, to assign that enrollment to your partner in this business, okay? Whether that partner is a son, whether that partner is a spouse, whether that partner is whatever, okay? Because you get 2 points for that enrollment now, okay? So I will give you a great example. If I get an enrollment from corporate, just did this yesterday, and if the enrollment's over 100 BV, if it's under 100 BV, it doesn't matter. But when I get an enrollment, then I call VIP and I say, I would like to change the sponsor. So I change the sponsor to Tracy, because Tracy's our second position. And then I change the placement sponsor also. So what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll find one of my leaders, like my sister, like Heidi, like Carla, like Stephanie, whoever it is, and you put that person in a position that's beneficial. Now you don't screw that person, okay? And I mean, you don't put that person on an inside leg of somebody who's not a builder. But I will put that person on the inside leg of an active executive or a outside leg of a person who really wants to grow. Okay, as long as they're going to be continually supported by their upline. But if you move the sponsorship and move that person, then you get 2 points in your leader in action. And now what are you doing? You're putting your money where your mouth is as far as being a team builder, because my goal is to grow my team, right? We make good money. I want people on my team to make great money. And that is a huge tip I would tell all of you who are executives, and or any of you that get to executive, to utilize that technique if you're not already doing it. Because if you're enrolling, you know, like you should be, at least a couple people a month on your own, then those other enrollments that come in, you should be handing those off. Okay. And it's just something that we do on a regular basis, and we're big on it. So go ahead.
Hi, thank you. So my husband is on my leg, not on my pay leg. I don't know what you guys refer to it. I don't like the word strong and weak and whatever. He's not on my pay leg, number one. And number two, you suggest that even if it's foregoing a double PIB?
What's double PIB to you, Stephanie?
Well,
50 bucks?
for a while it was a lot. Like when things, you know, it's different now, but it was like,
Right.
yeah, every
but
dollar
50
kind of mattered for a while there.
Yeah, but 25 or 50 bucks or 100 bucks. I mean, think about how that impacts somebody that, you know, because you're giving it for one, if you're assigning it to your husband, you're still getting it. Right. And then if your husband assigns it down below him, then you're fine. Now, if you want to keep it on your pay leg side, then leave it as you are the sponsor and move it down someplace, and then change the placement sponsor. Okay. For those of you that don't understand the difference, there's an enrollment sponsor who is the person who enrolls them. The placement sponsor, and this is important for your carts, right? So if you're doing your carts, you can change the placement sponsor. And the placement sponsor is simply the person that it goes under. Doesn't mean anything. That's a person that it goes under. So if I want Sybil to be my placement sponsor, then I can stay the enrollment sponsor, but then I can pick Sybil as the placement sponsor, and I can put her on the right or the left leg of Sybil. Right? And I do it all the time. So I don't know what all you want me to really go into, Heidi. That's all I really had here on my notes that I was going to write, like hard go over and cover. But I'm telling you, when you're team building is where it's at. And if you have someone who you can help get to that $500 a week income, 500 bucks a week, the chances of them leaving you are low. Now they might, right? I mean, I've had people that have completely quit Isagenix, and they're being paid, you know, $200-300 bucks a month, and they just walked away from it. They're like, I'm like, wow, $200-300 bucks a month. I mean, that's a decent amount of money. It's at least your product's free. And literally, I told a guy this. He's like, yeah. He goes, it's all right. He says, but you know, I don't really need it. I go, dude, donate it then. Give that couple $100 bucks to somebody that does need it, right? Donate it to somebody. You don't have to put it in your own pocket. If you don't need it, good for you. But why would you not donate that money to somebody that does need it? So anyway, let's see. Lori Olson has her hand up.
Brent, sorry, when you were giving away of enrollments, so I just want to verify, are you mainly saying you only change the placement and you just put them in a place that a potential builder would have opportunity to gain more volume to cycle? Or are you actually giving them as they are the enrolling sponsor?
I will say I've never done it, but I rarely give away an enrollment, a person. I say, my opinion is that
Okay.
share your knowledge, share your support, not your people. Right?
I
Because
agree. I was just
yeah.
trying to clarify. Okay.
Yep. Because here's the thing, and for those some of
So-
you that might be thinking that you want to do that, if I bring on Heather and Heather can't get 2 people, she can't get 20. So for me to give her a person just to get her to consultant, I'm cheating her out of her experience, and I'm probably cheating myself because I'm giving away somebody who might actually take off, and I'm giving them to somebody
Correct.
who's can't even get 2 people.
Yeah. I just heard you say you should be giving all those away. And so I was like, I need to clarify what he was saying.
Yep, no,
Um,
absolutely.
Okay. So you're saying most of your, are you saying that almost all your enrollments you place under people that are maybe wanting to build a business?
If I get an enrollment, then I will put that person on a supported leg of a builder. Okay.
On a
Meaning
heavy
that,
leg.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, putting somebody on somebody's like, and I won't put anybody on the inside leg of anybody who's not an executive, an active, engaged executive. Okay, because lots of people out there,
okay.
there's a lot of there are not a lot, but there are some executives out there who are not actively engaged. And I won't get, I'm not gonna, I want them to be continuously in a spot where they look, when they pop when they look at it someday and they go, wow, I have 500 people under me. I want them to know why they have 500. I want them to go, wow, that's a lot. I don't want them to click on their spot a year from now and go, wow, I've got 2 people.
Yeah. So rotate through your people on which person's heavy leg you're going to put it on.
I'm sorry, I didn't,
Is that what you're
you
saying?
cut out the first part of that.
Am I cutting out? Sorry. So do you just kind of rotate through your active
Yes.
leaders on who you're, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. When I'm assigning a placement sponsor, then I will put that person on the appropriate leg of one of my highly engaged active people. I just put somebody down underneath Heidi and Beth and everybody else, and my sister and everybody else, because it works out, right? If you put them on if I put them on the inside leg of my sister, right? She's got Beth and she's got Heidi and she's got some other builders on that leg. So if I put them on that bottom right, because I'm saying it that way, if I put them on the bottom right, then I know that person, no matter what happens, they've got not just one, but they've got a couple of good builders above them that are going to be adding people to their leg.
And Brent,
yep,
the key that you mentioned, I've never even thought of, is that whole 2 PET thing and 2 points rather than 1 point. Like, how have I never even seen that? You guys, did you get that? Because I don't even understand if Isagenix really intended for that to happen, but to not know that, and I'm in almost year 6 here, that was pretty earth-shattering to hear. And when you're paid as exec is what he's specifically stating, that just to clarify and to confirm, we get an email or ISAPulse that says, congratulations on a new order and enrollment as a paid as exec. I mean, there's some months it's like 7 enrollments, and he's being strategic and brilliant with that whole leader in action formula too. And so you can go into your back office and set it and forget it, or it sounds like, Brent, you're calling VIP after you see this happen and going in and seeing who you should place them under.
Yep, absolutely. Because you can't change the enrollment sponsor. So for those of you who have a spouse who you want to be able to assign that to, then I can assign it to Tracy's position, and then we can move it. So we get 2 points because Tracy's my 2 PET. And for those months that like I think it was January, I think actually, congratulations, Stephanie. I know is January or February, you were in the top enrollments as well. For those months, like you're getting like all these enrollments, it doesn't really matter if you move them, right? Because you've got all these, you've maxed out your 20, because you only get 20 points on the leader in action. So if you know you've already got the 20 points, then keep them as an enrollment. It doesn't really matter. But on those months that like, you're not really sure, or you're like, you know, it's kind of a slow month, assign them away, right? Assign them away to your second position. And for those of you who don't have that second position, then reach out to your upline and say, how do I do that? What's your recommendation of how I create this second position? And you create that second position either under a spouse or a family member, right? That you can put those extra enrollments under, and that it just counts. And it's an amazing, powerful tool when you do it correctly.
Why do you think that we don't hear more about this? Why? I mean, I hear about something called spouse building, but it just is not, it's real regional too. Some regions in this country, that's exactly what they do. They open up their spouse's business center within the first few months, but then it seems like regionally here, it's kind of on the down low. We kind of have to figure it out through amazing people like you.
You know, I don't know. So I think that there's obviously a monetary benefit to it. And some people don't, I guess maybe there's just a limited number of people that really have an interest in how to do it. But my opinion, you guys, is, and I'll just tell you guys how I coach, right? I coach people to always enroll their spouse first, and always enroll their spouse on what would be their inside leg. Okay. There's two reasons I do it that way. One, if I have, well, since we just had a spouse join, what's up, Matt? So if I have Heather enroll Matt, and I have Heather, am I on share screen, Stephanie? Because I'm kind of visual. Can I do this? Yeah, cool. All right, I'll do it this way because I want to make sure everybody understands. So if I have Heather, and let's say that there's a little blue arrow, right? The little blue arrow above your name, this is the tail of that arrow is your outside leg, okay? For those of you who don't know, okay? So I would have Heather enroll Matt on her inside leg, okay? And here's why. Because Heather's now going to enroll her BFF on her left leg. Now, Heather's kicking along and she's liking it and life's good. And then something happens and Heather decides she's done. So if Heather's done, who else is done? Matt, right? What is that done for the BFF who's like, hey, I kind of like this. This is cool. I'm going to keep building, right? The BFF doesn't matter because you are up here and you're continuing to enroll people. So if the BFF here decides, oh, I want to grow my business, they're really well supported. Okay, they've got people being added to their list the whole time. The difference is if I have Heather here, and we'll keep it the same way. This is her outside leg over here. And she enrolls Matt over here, and then she enrolls her BFF over here. What happens when Heather quits and Matt quits? The BFF is stuck in here on this inside leg. And yes, the BFF can grow the business, right? They can grow it. They can do all kinds of things, but they're not going to have anybody above them enrolling somebody. They're not going to have any help from above them. Now, right leg, left leg, kind of what Stephanie Blackbird was saying is, if you get on my right leg or you get on my left leg, you're not going to be disappointed because I'm growing both of mine. But if you get on if you get on somebody who's not going to stay, if you get on one leg or the other, then it can be impactful in a negative way. So this is the way I coach it. I know that there are some, kind of like what Sybil was saying, there are some other coaches that say, you've got to enroll the first 5 people on your outside leg and all that kind of stuff. I've seen all that, and it's up to you. It's your business. Grow it how you want. But what I've found to be successful for me is this process.
Hey, Brent, while you're sharing screen like that, can you draw out what you're talking about as far as taking those enrollments and replacing them?
Sure. Shifting them
so you can kind of give a visual?
Yeah. So I'll try to, my screen does this every now and then. It makes me so mad. It like adds in a random line. So let's say that this is me and Tracy, right? So I'll give you guys kind of Tracy and I's scenario. So this is Tracy over here. Tracy's over here, right? So I get into, so an enrollment comes to me from corporate. Corporate says, you got enrollment and the enrollee's name is Matt Greenhahn. And I'm like, that's cool. Just don't bring your wife, Matt. Just, no, just so I've got Matt, and Matt comes to me through the process, right? Normally what the system's going to do is it's going to put Matt right down here at the bottom of my right side. Okay, because that's my, like Stephanie was saying, this is my pay leg, inside leg, whatever, minor volume leg, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so normally it would put Matt here, and it would make me the enrolling sponsor. Okay, again, two terms: enrolling sponsor, placement sponsor. Okay, so let's say that I've got, and I'll give you the scenario, right? So I've got a team builder here, and this team builder is on fire, man. They grow, they do all kinds of amazing things, and they're making stuff happen. Okay, I can take and call corporate, and I can change this. I can, if I want, I can change the enrollment sponsor to Tracy. Okay, and since they're under Tracy, right? Since this person's under Tracy, I can move that person down here. So corporate will then move that person over to this spot and change their placement. So I've changed the enrollment sponsor, so I get my 2 PET instead of 1. And I've moved the person to a different spot on my tree because I know that this person here is a mover and a shaker, and this new person, no matter who they are, is not going to be disappointed or put into a bad position because they're going to be very well supported. Okay, and they don't know any difference anyway, right? So there's still my 2 PET, and now with the new way that Isagenix pays you down to your 32 PET, I don't care if they take off and grow, right? Because wherever they're at, if they're my 32 PET, I make 125 bucks if they get 20 points, 120 if they get 20 points. Doesn't matter. So my goal is to identify anyone on my tree that's getting close to that 20 points and support them, because they get 100, I get 125 bucks if it happens. And I think that's a brilliant move on Isagenix's part. Does that make sense, Heather?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cool.
I did not know that Isagenix would change the enrollment sponsor.
Yep, absolutely. If you are the enrolling sponsor, you can give that person anybody. And if you want to give one away, Lori, you can give it to me. I'll give you my ID number if you want.
Well, I'm going to give it to my spouse account for sure, because that would be, that's what you were saying earlier, right? Because then technically you're 2P. And so your team, do you tell them, obviously, when you do this? And then I'm worried about being fair.
I tell the person that I put them under, like, I know, and I can say this because I just did this with the other day with Heidi. I put somebody on the bottom right. So I send a message out to my, leaders on that tree, whoever's going to be impacted. And in that particular case, it was my sister, Heidi, and Beth. And I said, hey, I just enrolled this person and put them to your bottom part of your tree. And then I'm going to try to go out and connect with that person to try to bring him into our business groups and our nutrition group and all that kind of stuff. And it's up to me to try to make that happen, right? I still want to bring him in. And then once I bring him in, then I'm going to say, hey, Heidi, Stephanie, the one that I was telling you about, this is her. And then Heidi's going to go, oh, congratulations, blah, 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 welcome team, and support her as well in our team pages.
Got it. So do you have the new person act as the sponsor, or do you?
I didn't understand.
Am I cutting out?
Yeah.
Sorry. Do you
So-
have the person that you gave it away to be the sponsor? Like engaging, training, coaching?
Well, it's Tracy, right? So my wife and I, so we cope.
Mhm.
We're both in
Okay.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I was going to get, let's say that I was like, you know what, I'm going to give that. As much as I love Heidi, I don't know that I would give her an enrollment.
Okay.
Right? Because Heidi's a monster enroller anyway, and it doesn't do me any good to give her an enrollment for points wise. So I can support her equally well by putting someone under her who potentially becomes a builder. So that there's no real reason for me to give that person to somebody outside of my, my 2 PET. I just can't.
Got it.
I can't.
So you
think of a
mainly
reason
just-
that I would do that.
Yeah, I'm putting it all together. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
I
to
will
be
give you-
clear,
I will give you guys this one though. I'll give you another one.
Right.
If you get one of these enrollments that comes across as like a 27 or a 40 BV enrollment, you can assign those people to somebody on your team who's maybe you need a few more BV on your rights, on somebody's right side. So let's say that Stephanie was one of my consultants, but she's not always amazing, right? And so she's got some enrollments every now and then, and sometimes she's a consultant, sometimes she's not. And I log in and I see that she's got a girl that maybe, or a guy that ordered like 80 BV. So she's 20 something BV away from becoming a consultant. I could assign that person to her, under her, make that her enrollment and put her on that same side where she's got 80. So now what is she? She's now active. Right? And so it might bring you back to consultant status, or might bring her back to consultant status, which might help her become, maybe hit director, or who knows, right? So those little 20, 40 point enrollments, although they could turn into something. And I say it this way: when I started with a canister of tri-release, or not tri-release. I started with a can of isolene drink, right? So I didn't start with a pack or anything. I started with a canister. So be careful if you decide to do that. And if you do that, honor that enrollment. Don't put that person on the inside leg of somebody who's not doing their thing. Because if you put them on the inside leg of somebody who's not doing anything, and that person does take off, you may lose them because they don't have enough support. They're just not going to see the money. I can't call Sybil 6 months from now and go, "Hey Sybil, you know what? It's really cool that you're interested. I love having you as a great customer, and I'd like to show you that there's some ability for you to, because you've got so many points banked up. You could make $200 if you do this." In fact, that survey that just went out that Stephanie Beebe sent to me and made sure I had, that corporate asked about a report. My request, and I'm asking all of you to ask this same report. We should all be beating up corporate, telling them that we want a report that shows anybody in our downline who has over 900 BV in holding volume. Because I don't care how deep they are in your team, if they've got over 900 BV in holding volume, then they're ordering regularly and they've got the ability to at least cycle. And we need to be able to reach those people and beg for that. And it's there. And you're recording me. I'm on Facebook. I won't say why I think they're not giving it to us. They need to be giving us that information. If they've got 900 BV and they're in our downline, we should be able to contact them and say, "Hey, let's help you make 900. Let's help you make a couple $100." Because the only way to find it is go through your tree looking for somebody that's holding 20,000 BV, and you're like, "What? You've been active for 5 years?"
The other thing I think we should all ask for is way better searchability. I don't know if you guys are, now we're an older company now, and people have enrolled multiple times, and you can only find the first time they're in there if you type it exactly the right way.
Yeah.
And people do have the same, like with when you have such a big team, there are some of the same names. It's like, that's not who I'm looking for. That's a different person. So our searchability is prehistoric, honestly. So please, everyone, ask for that.
Yeah.
I wish we also could see our new enrollments in the back office. Like, they just get kind of lumped in there with the whole list. I mean, I guess you can go to recents. I just think it should be a notification, you know what I mean, that comes up. Yeah, to reach out, just like, because my emails all go to junk. I mean, sometimes I miss those, not all the emails, but the new enrollment, the ones from corporate are always lost. So I just would like a double checking. Not that
Yeah,
any of us can
and-
solve
You
that,
should
but
get an alert from Penny on those. In your Penny alerts, they are coming up now, because that's something I asked for.
okay.
Penny.
Yeah. And the other thing that you can do, some of you may not know this, but if you go to your back office and you go to Team View Placement Tree, when you go there, you can click Join Date, and you can move. You can organize the people in your back office by join date. So you can organize them by join date, or you can organize them by their alphabetical order of their name, or you can organize them by BV, how much BV they've ordered in the last 30 days. So all of that is relevant, but it's only for your personally enrolled. You can't, and they've changed some of the things. Like I used to be able to, and well, I will say it because I think it's an important task for us to ask for. I used to be able to go to, like, I could go to Stephanie's position and I could click on her, what's going on with her 4 PET. So I could get a 4 PET enrollment on Stephanie, and I can't do that anymore. They've taken that away. Because you used to be able to get that report that would give you the 4 PET enrollment, or their executive report information, and it would give you all of their details. And that would be an important thing to have for somebody, again, as you're trying to team build and help people.
Hey, Brent, this is Bethany.
Huh?
How's it going? Great call. Hey, I just wanted to let you know, I've been working with someone from corporate by the name of Morgan Sabnecker. And
Okay.
I don't even remember how I got connected with her, but it was like back in the fall. And she recently was like, hey, could you do like an hour call with me and, give me some ideas, what you want to see on reports and stuff like that. And I had a lot going on. And so instead she created like a Google survey. And I shared it with everyone in Tribe Time. I don't know. I think both Stephanie's and Sybil definitely filled it out. I don't know who else did, but I just texted her and recommended that to her about the 900 BV and holding volume. And she wrote back, that's a good one. I'll add it to the list. Thanks. So she's the person who like specializes in reports. So I also just asked her to email you and Tracy the survey as well. And maybe you want to have a call with her because it seems like you've got some really good ideas with reports and stuff.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And I did get that survey, Bethany. So thank you for that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
and I did put that in there. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure they got a number of them. So yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. And that's why I'm saying it's these kind of calls that if we get a bunch of the leadership to ask for certain things, then I think we get more value out of it if several of us ask for it versus one or two.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Okay, good.
Hey,
Good.
congratulations, by the way,
Got that.
Rockstar.
And then I just texted you her. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I say congratulations. I saw you you rocked out the enrollments, and I know you're on the Fiji list. So
Oh yeah, thank you so much. So Brent, I just sent you through Facebook Messenger. I just sent you her contact. So
Cool.
she's really good about texting, so you can text her and when you have ideas and such.
okay, thank you very much for that. And I will send her a message.
Cool.
We good?
Well, I have to go, but this was awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks, Lynn. That's all I got, Heidi.
Yeah, awesome call. Thanks so much, Brent, for your time.
You bet.
Very awesome call. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brent. Does anybody else have any other questions at all? They wanna,
I have a quick question. I just
Yeah.
want to know which force were you on? What were you in Chandler, Gilbert? I'm assuming it was somewhere local.
Yeah, I was in Phoenix.
Oh, in Phoenix. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool.
I guess I gotta be clear about something because I feel like I'm not totally clear. You suggest never giving an enrollment away, but just placing them different, unless I could see how like a free one that executives get, if it's like a 50 BV one, because I know someone right now that if I made them the enrolling sponsor, that would keep them in consultant status. So that's how you could, I never thought of using it that way. So I could do that. But normally you'd say, don't give people away. I put
Yeah,
people
and
in.
I would tell you, Heidi, if you do that, then just make sure that it's somebody who that extra 50 BV, if you will, is needed on their outside leg, not their inside leg. Because if it's needed on their inside leg, and if you give that person, if I give that person to you, okay, let's go back to it again, just because I know there's people on here that may not get it, is if I've got this person here who's got, let's say they've got 50 BV sitting over here, right? Because they've got somebody who's actually already ordered 50 BV, right? And this is their outside leg over here. And I go, well, you know what? I'm going to give you this corporate enrollment. So I'm going to change the enrollment sponsor and the placement sponsor. And I'm going to give this person, this girl Heidi, who's, you know, she says she wants it, but I don't know. And so so then I assign her as the enrollment sponsor and the placement sponsor. And then this person who only ordered 50 BV is coming over, you know, kind of testing out the elixir or something from, you know, another network marketing company. And then they go, wow, this is pretty cool. I like it. And then they become a consultant. They're not your consultant, right? They belong to Heidi. And if they start doing stuff and Heidi's like, yeah, that's pretty cool, I don't really have any more people to enroll, and Heidi quits, then this person's stuck in that spot. But if you would have put that person over here on the outside leg and that exact same scenario happens, Heidi still quits, it's okay, because there's other people up there that are still going to keep supporting her.
I have a
Yeah.
question. So if I'm following this right, because the inside and that leg is confusing me some. So the
Okay.
outside leg would be the team leg?
Well, kind of like what Stephanie Blackbird alluded to at first. If you're on my inside leg or my outside leg, nobody cares, because I enroll people on both sides. Okay, so don't let that confuse you. However, for purpose of definition, there's a little arrow above your name when you go to team view placement tree. If you go down to the box that shows your name, okay, that little arrow, the tail of that arrow would be what we would consider your outside leg. And what should be happening, if you're supported, is there should be people being added to this leg that you don't know. Okay, meaning that people above you are adding people down there. Okay, that doesn't always happen because not everybody has that. Not everybody has somebody above them enrolling people. But as a general rule, that's how I would tell you that exists. And that's the definition of your outside leg versus your inside leg. The other version you'll hear people talk about is minor volume versus major volume leg. But that can swap back and forth at any given time, because if one leg takes off, then maybe your inside leg takes off, or your outside leg, whatever. But I always use outside and inside because that never changes. One's not necessarily better than the other, but that never changes.
Brent, can I also add something here about strategy? So I think that a lot of this is, maybe people aren't paid as exec yet, or paid as director yet, or paid as manager yet to play in the pools. But I think that people could do a little bit better job going into their back office and really looking at the strategy of getting more of their people paid. And just like you said, if they're sitting on 900 BV, they're sitting on a cycle. Some people will stay because they got $54, but think outside of the box, the literal box. Like, always look at what is going to be the best thing and get more people in your organization paid. To give these enrollments to Tracy, that probably means that now, rather than cycling once, they're cycling twice, because she gets the BV and he gets the BV. So it's all about strategy, you guys. And there is so much strategy involved in this comp plan. If you really opened it up, you could see that maybe getting that one person, Heidi, paid as consultant gets a person back to paid as exec, which is, we know, a guaranteed extra $10,000 a year just in the executive lifestyle program, in addition to all of these enrollments that we're all confused about. So there's some major perks that maybe we're not really looking at through Brent's eyes, and maybe you should. The strategy involved here that I'm learning about is amazing, but there's some amazing things that we have the ability and flexibility and freedom to do if we just ask.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree. And I'll draw that out because I know Debbie, I'm using Debbie's name because I can see her face, she's relatively new, right? So let's say, Debbie, let's say this is you, right? And then this is your inside leg, right? And you put your spouse here, okay? So you put your spouse there. What Sybil's saying is that when this enrollment comes in, if this is my minor volume leg, right? And this enrollment comes in and I put that person here, and let's say that causes this position to cycle. Well, if this is my minor volume leg, then it's probably also going to cause this position to cycle. So as in my household just cycled twice off of a 300 BV order, right? Or whatever, right? So now, because my spouse cycled and I cycled, right? And that's what she's talking about there. Because I can take this enrollment that would have normally been placed down here, right? And I can have corporate move it to here and help us both out. And this is what my stupid computer keeps doing. I don't know why it does that, but it makes me crazy. So anyway, you can move that person and make that happen. And as a strategy, and this goes a little bit deeper, but as a strategy, I tell people all the time, do not try to outmaneuver the Isagenix corporate program, because they've kind of got it figured. They do have some of this one is, we'll see if they change this. If they change after this call, I'm gonna be so mad. But right now you can still move these people around. Well, if I would tell you, don't grow your spouse's position until this position is a solid 5-star. Okay, meaning that this person's is a solid 100 cycles a week. Because once that happens, you can enroll people down here. But when we enroll people under Tracy's position, I am the sponsor. Okay, I am the sponsor that's enrolling people in this position. You know why? Because if we enroll this person, and this has happened, this actually is valid. So I enroll this person down here and they become a consultant. Now what is it? It's part of our executive match. Because as an executive, every consultant that you have, if they cycle, you get a 10% match on their cycles. Okay, if they're my person enrolled. So if I'm going to enroll somebody who I know is going to do something, then I'm going to throw them down here. Okay, I'm going to be the enroller and I'm going to put them down here. Now, what's happening now, because of this new corporate program, is this. We're going to run Tracy's position to executive again. We did it before for a prize, whatever, but we're going to run it there again. What does that mean? Here's what it means, you guys, and this is why it's so powerful to understand this. This now means that if we make this happen, which we will, that means this spot gets $10,000 a year in bonus. This spot gets $10,000 a year in bonus. But even more important than that, both of these spots are now on the monthly rotation for getting free enrollments and whatever else. Okay. And there's a strategy to this. But if you do this too soon, if you try to run the spouse's position too soon to executive, if you can't keep yourself at executive, you dang sure better not be trying to keep two positions executive, because I promise you, you will spend more than this a year trying to keep all these spots at executive. Okay, you need to be a super solid executive before you try to go maneuvering the Isagenix protocol. Okay, and if you think you're ready to do it, reach out to somebody in your upline and they will tell you if you're ready to do it or not. I shouldn't say they will tell you. They should at least be able to guide you on whether you should do that or not. There's so much to be had here, you guys. And they keep adding stuff to be had. So.
It is incredible. I mean, like I think of like new people or that's been around for a while, like they don't even know about a 5-cycle bonus and the 10-cycle, like there's our regular ways to get paid, but there's already so many other ways too, that it's like, oh my gosh, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
If you're not pulling your business blueprint every Thursday or Friday and looking for somebody on your team that's close to that 5-cycle bonus, you're missing out. Every Thursday or Friday, you should be pulling your business blueprint and looking to see if there's somebody that's on the double PIB list, and looking to see if there's anybody that's close to the 5-cycle bonus or close to the manager, one of the other bonus money things. We've gone past our hour. Sorry, Heidi.
No, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for taking your time for us today. We so appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Really, I'm really grateful. I think we all are.
Cool.
Yep.
Thank you so
sir.
much.
Grateful.
Well, thank you, ladies, for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a lucky
Appreciate
guy
it.
right now. Look at me. I'm like in the middle of all these great women on here.
You are one lucky guy to hang out with us for an hour. That's all I gotta
Loaded
say.
ladies,
My
loaded
life is
ladies.
good.
Hey, in addition to thanking Brent, I think we should thank Heidi. Heidi totally dug in and went for it. We needed March filled and she was like, yeah, I'll do it. And to open it up with Brent Shaw was just like, we now know what the rest of the month holds. So Brent, you've raised the bar for us. Heidi, thank you again for being so eager, but this was so good, you guys. Thanks for joining today.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Hi, guys.
You too.
All
Bye.
right.
Happy
Have a great
birthday,
day. Have a
Heidi.
great week.
Thank
Yes,
you.
happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday.